So you're thinking about a career in cybersecurity. I bet you've seen the huge salaries and the jobs that seem to be everywhere. But if you're actually trying to break in, you've probably also hit that incredibly frustrating wall of sending out resume after resume and hearing nothing back. So in this explainer, we're going to cut through all that noise and focus on the real-world strategies that will actually get you hired.
Sound familiar? Yeah, there's this huge disconnect between the promise of a booming industry and the tough reality of the job hunt. And look, it's super frustrating, but you are definitely not alone in feeling this way. And more importantly, this is a problem we can solve.
So that's the million-dollar question, right? And it's the one we're going to answer today. We're going to lay out a clear roadmap based on expert advice, and we're going to show you what skills really matter and the common mistakes you absolutely have to avoid to land that first role.
All right, first things first. Before we can build the right strategy, we've got to tear down the bad advice. Let's dive right in and bust some of the biggest myths that are holding so many people back.
Okay, this is pretty wild. There's this kind of AI versus AI battle happening with resumes right now. A lot of applicants are using AI to write them, but then they're sending them straight into a company's own AI screening tools. And guess what? Those tools are often designed to filter out exactly those kinds of applications. See, when you lean too hard on AI, you lose that human touch. Actually taking the time to write a resume tailored to that company, that shows you've done your homework, and believe me, it makes you stand out.
All right, the next huge myth is that a certification like Security Plus is your golden ticket. Yeah, maybe 5 or 10 years ago that was the case. But today, the bar has been raised. A lot. With risks like ransomware getting worse every day, companies now treat their entry-level positions more like mid-level roles. They need people who can actually do the work, not just, talk about the theory. And that means they want proof of hands-on experience, which those basic certs just don't really provide.
Okay, so if a basic cert isn't going to cut it anymore, what do you need to show a hiring manager? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. You need to show them practical, hands-on experience. You have to show, not just tell. And here's the absolute key. You do not need a job to get experience. Things like building your own home lab, where you, say, deploy a honeypot or set up an intrusion detection system. Or using platforms like Hackme for realistic scenarios. And then showcasing all your projects on GitHub, that is your portfolio. This is how you prove you've got the skills they're looking for, filling that critical experience gap before you even get your first official job title. And this story just perfectly illustrates how powerful that is. We're talking about someone with a GED who taught himself to code, built out a home lab, documented everything on GitHub, and then landed a job with a top-secret clearance. The point is, he proved his skills so completely through his projects that the fact that he didn't have, a traditional degree, it just didn't matter.
Look, having the technical skills, the chops, is absolutely essential. But, and this is a big but, it's only half the battle. Your ability to communicate, to solve problems with a team, and just connect with people, that can be the one thing that separates you from everyone else.
So when an interviewer hits you with, "Tell me about a time you were challenged," they're testing your problem-solving process. The worst thing you can say is, "I've never really been challenged." That's a huge red flag. The STAR method is your go-to framework. It helps you tell a concrete story that shows them exactly how you handle tough situations. And this is so important in cyber, where you might have to explain a super complex technical risk to a manager who isn't technical at all. It's how you prove your soft skills.
Networking. I know, that word can feel really intimidating for a lot of people, but it's not about being the loudest person in the room or anything like that. It's really just about making genuine connections, and you can start small. Just break it down into these super simple, manageable steps. Go to a local meetup, give yourself a small goal like talking to 3 new people, and just build from there. You'd be amazed how those little actions add up over time.
Okay, time to tackle the big question. Can you realistically just jump straight into a pure cybersecurity role right out of the gate? Or is there a smarter, more strategic way to do it that gives you a much better shot at success?
So here's the deal. Can you jump straight in? Yes, but you gotta know, it's a serious uphill battle. It is incredibly competitive. A much more practical path, and honestly, an easier one for a lot of people, is to start in a related IT role, like help desk or as a system administrator. Sure, it might take a little longer to get that cyber title, and the pay might be lower at first, but you're building foundational experience that translates directly and makes you a way stronger candidate down the line. Think of it as a strategic stepping stone.
Okay, so how do we pull all of this together into a real, actual plan? Let's break down the key things you can start doing, like today, to get from where you are now to landing that job.
All right, here it is, your checklist for getting hired. First off, write your own resume. Make it personal. Focus on building practical skills you can actually prove. Create that portfolio that shows what you can do. Master your interview skills and start making those connections. Be smart about your entry point into the field, and maybe most importantly, never stop learning. Showing that you're always learning is exactly what a hiring manager wants to see in a field that changes like every other month.
And really, when you boil it all down, this is what it's about. Getting into cybersecurity isn't about finding some secret certification or magic course. It's about your commitment. You have to find that motivation, you have to manage your time, and you have to put in the work, hour by hour, day by day. That commitment, that's what's going to get you hired.